Anyway, so I don't really have a background for this one, so we're just gonna stare into the black void of the abyss. But maybe this weekend, ooh, I think I'm free on Sunday. You'd have to catch me either before or after the Sage Soul Link thing. Just images for this book. Don't worry, Butney. Don't worry. I got some pretty neat character portraits because I think you're gonna like them. I think you're really gonna like them. Anyway, let me begin. Oh, that's the wrong fucking song. Jesus Christ. There we go. Okay, so to quickly go over, this is about from what I've seen, it is about a spider, like an anthropomorphic man-like spider, some kind of like Spider-Man, and a queen, presumably some kind of like ice queen, and then some lady. All right, and hilariously enough, I do have a cool, or is it a cool Spider-Man here? A cool Spider-Man. Here's the queen, and as you could probably imagine, that is the lady of of today's book. And they just want to fight over their cool action figure they just got from Big W. So if anybody knows about the cool trend on YouTube back in the day about, like, you know, was it fucking Spider-Man, like, was it Fat Spider-Man and like Pregnant Elsa? Hope you're ready for the clickbait on these streams. I mean, like, just throwing this out that this book has nothing to do with Frozen, by the way. Most likely, Mopey. Most likely. However, let me start by reading the blurb on the back. Again, oh, hang on. I also have the cover over here as well. If you guys are wondering what the cover of it looks like, this is it. Good old fucking Spider-Man. Man spider. he's like a spider centaur, and then the girl, of course. It takes place in a buddy rainforest. Well, this is after the events of Frozen and the ice is thawed out, and just use your imagination for the characters. I'm sure the description will paint a different picture, but it's the first thing that came to mind, especially hot off the trails of Disney. And it doesn't appear that Katie Roberts has a has a Frozen book, despite the wait. Yeah, I wonder why she doesn't have a book about Frozen. That seems pretty popular. Anyway, the blurb. He spent years as a hunter, but now he's the one ensnared in a creature's trap. Catan did not want a mate. Fate has a different plan for him. When the queen he despises declares her intention to claim him, he retreats into the jungle. What he finds there changes his world. Small, delicate, and pale-skinned, Ivy Foster is nothing like the females Catan has known. She's not his kind at all. Yet, the moment he sees her, he knows the truth in his soul. She is his heart's thread. And now that he has her, he won't let anything take her away. Not the jungle, not the gods, not the queen and her warriors. Whether Ivy agrees or not, their webs are entangled. No one will ever sever those threads. I actually don't know if the queen is a spider queen or is a normal human queen and wants to make Spider-Man babies. I'm not sure about that. I didn't realize this book was so recent. It's a spider. It is a spider queen. Oh shit. Oh man. Oh man, I was really under the pretense that the queen was a human. Oh no. Oh no. That's why I got the Elsa. Well, fuck. That's unfortunate. Can I find a picture of just a real spider? Can I put like a funnel web spider on screen? But I gotta have Elsa there because that's for the clickbait. People will come for the Elsa and the Spider-Man. Just have a Spider-Man symbol on the fucking phone. Opie, you got a point. Now watch me fucking not find a PNG version of this. Holy shit, that was quick. Oh, it's like an actual fucking... like an actual icon. I didn't think it would be. Will this even open in OBS? I actually don't know. I know there's a lot of faffing about. Don't worry, this will all be worth it. Believe me. Oh, dude, it's you can barely even see it. There it is. She's Spider-Woman. Oh god, now I probably should have gotten what's her name? That female Spider-Woman. What's her name again? Gwen? I think it's Gwen. Alright, either way, they're fighting over the cool action figure that they bought the other day. Gwen Stacy, that's it. Oh, how could I forget? Also, Silk. Silk is another one. Silk's origin story is fucking weird. Like, hey, I was also bitten by the same spider as Peter Parker. I was just locked away. I've been hiding this whole time, JK. I was totally real and I was always there. When are you doing things with Sage? She finishes D&D like fucking whenever she finishes D&D, which is like I think 2 p.m. my time, sometime around there, which is like midnight or some shit. I think that's right. Anyway, chapter 1. I don't really know about voices yet. I don't think I've seen any characters talk. I would find it hilarious. Okay, there is talking. All right. I'm gonna have to try and figure out a voice for these characters. I don't want it to be the same as you know, the previous couple of books, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, chapter 1. This apparently doesn't have perspectives like Katie Roberts. This is like it's all a story, I guess. There's no POVs. It's all one POV, the reader. 7 something at a time. Well, there you go. There you go. Anyway, Moonfall Tunnel was all but deserted as Catan strode along it. The soft glow of the spirit cap mushrooms growing on the rough-hewn stone could not banish the dancing shadows cast by the blue-green spinewood sap flames, which burned in the bowls carved into the tunnel walls. The only sounds were the soft crackles and pops produced by the fires. Silk hung from the entrances of the quiet dens in both raw strands and woven fabric, most of it worn thin and tattered. All but a few of those dens were dark inside. Even the crafters' chambers, which were wider, more open spaces, were deserted. A breeze flowed over Catan from ahead, carrying the merest hint of warm jungle air scented by sweet Jezan flowers and damp wood. As always, he would rather have been out there roaming the tangle. He favored the twisting roots, gnarled branches, and cloying plants over Takaral's carved stone and dim blue light. These are big fantasy words. He would rather cross hungry mires and knots of grappler plants than these echoing passages. But there was little choice today. It was offering day, when the Verks of Takaral gathered in the Den of Spirits to make their offerings to the Eight. Oh, the Eight. Catan paused at the entrance to one of the dens. The swath of silk hanging over the opening was long, tightly woven, and dyed with vibrant colors in intricate patterns, serving as a display of its crafter's skill for all who strode down Moonfall Tunnel. Darkness greeted him, but it was... Sorry, I skipped a paragraph by accident. Keeping his barbed spear resting above his upper left shoulder. Catan raised a foreleg and extended it, sweeping the silk aside. Darkness greeted him, but it was a familiar darkness. He slipped into the small den, bracing his lower left hand on the stone shelf beside him, without looking at it. In all the years, Catan's friend, Rekosh, had kept his den, miles per hour. What is his name? The other Spider-Man, the other one. Oh, fuck me dead. Miles Morales, that's his name. He never left a single object out of place. Catan could navigate in the dark by instinct alone. Right, because he's got deep morals. He's a Spider-Man of morals. Of course, of course. I can't believe I forgot that name, despite me having played the Spider-Man game recently. The Miles Morales one. Anyway, Catan lowered his spear, dropping the coiled rope attached to the blunt end onto the floor, and standing the weapon against the wall. Next, he swung his Yatin hide bag off his back. He held it between his lower hands as he opened it and reached inside to remove a thick leaf-wrapped bundle. After ensuring the rawhide straps binding the bundle were secure, he placed his bag inside his spear, exited Rakosh's den, and continued deeper into the tunnel. Still haven't played Medieval. I might... Oh, but you know what I should have done? The day that I played Way of the Samurai, I didn't realize that was Halloween. I should have fucking played Medieval on that day. And now it's a missed opportunity. I should have streamed Medieval. It would have been the perfect game to stream on that day. Maybe next year. But no, I'll beat it. I'll beat it before then for sure. Next year. Fuck it out. I'll just put it on the back burner for now. Though the bundle was light, it bore an implied weight that could not be measured by any scale. To most Vricks, this offering would appear generous. Mender roots were rare, and there were few known places in the Tangle where they could be forged. Medicines made from the roots cure many ailments and eased pain. A gift of Mender root was a sign of selflessness, honor, and compassion. Not having Halloween. We don't need it, Moby. We don't need it, Moby. Shit outside is scary enough as it is. When people dressing up as spiders and shit? Ah, fuck that. We don't need extra bullshit on the shit we already have. He hoped they'd send a different message to the Queen. Catan slowed as he neared the entrance of another den, this one much larger than Rakosh's. It had been sized to accommodate a female and her brood, though he did not recognize the wispy strands of silk dangling from the arched entryway. He knew the shape of the stone itself. He knew the smooth spots worn into it, where his mother used to lean with one of her thick forelegs crossed in front of the other, as she spoke to the other Verks who had dwelled in the Moonfall Tunnel. He placed a hand on one of those spots. The stone was cold and hard under his hide, as smooth as if it had been caressed by a river for hundreds of lifetimes. He recalled how his brood sister, Ensnared, Gwen Stacy, had always tried to mimic their mother's stance. Ensnared had been like Ishun. Oh God, which Spider-Man's Ishun? Peter, I think that one's Peter. In miniature, right down to the way she moved her legs when she walked. But Ensnared had dwelled with the Queen's fangs these past 7 years. Catan had deemed in the tangle for just as long, and their mother, Ishun, she had been dead all that time. This hatching den had been granted to a new female years ago, a female who would use it to raise her brood. Catan and his brood sister had no claim on it. Do you mean early or late? Well, I would probably be awake before like midday, because I mean I probably wake up in the morning before like, oh no, we do the soul link, so I can play Plate Up then, and that'll be before you go to bed, because I'm assuming you'd probably go to bed after whenever like Sage is finished with fucking D&D. That's the difference between Saturday night and Sunday morning. Well, it would be like, it would be like Saturday night for you. It'd be like probably Saturday afternoon. No, is that right? If it's Sunday morning here, I'm gonna hate time zones. Yeah, why can't people just use a universal time? Like, why can't we all just have the same time? But no, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Sunday morning is, Saturday night. Yeah. That's the go, Mopey. If you're free Saturday night, I'm down for some Plate Up. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, removing his hand from the stone, Catan continued onward, striding with purpose. He had not returned to Tarkaral to reminisce, though he fully intended to rouse the spirits of the past. Catan found Rakosh and Urkot. I wonder which Spider-Man that one is. Just beyond Moonfall, awaiting him in a large round chamber, where 8 separate tunnels converged. He'd known them since they were all three broodlings, but Rakosh and Urkot made an odd pair even in Catan's eyes. Rakosh was nearly as tall as Catan, his body lean and limbs spindly. His movements displayed an effortless grace that was enhanced by his fingers. He can move his pingers. The claws on their tips were sharpened to fine points to better aid his work. The silk pouch slung across his chest and over one shoulder bulged with what was undoubtedly his offering. And Catan could see a few wooden spools of thread and bone needles in their leather sleeves also tucked within. Urkot was nearly a third of a segment shorter, but his body was thick and powerful. Since he'd been a broodling, other Verks had suggested that Urkot was sculpted like a female. Had the sculptor been working with half the usual amount of clay? He always seemed firm and grounded, even though the absence of his lower left arm should have made him appear off balance. The lower portions of all 6 legs and all 3 of his hands. Hang on, wait, hold on a second. The lower portions of all 6 of his legs and all 3 of his hands were coated in a layer of stone dust that paled his back hide to white. How many fucking hands and legs does he have? Alright. Tarkov. Fucking Tarkov. Yeah, all good, Murphy, all good. Will do. I mean, I guess their hands are also included in the leg count. I mean, I guess this guy's got a third leg, if you know what I mean. Mandible spreading wide, Rakosh lowered his jaw and snapped it shut. His red eyes gleamed in the glow of the chamber's crystals, like 8 broodstones. Do they fucking have, like... Oh, they do. They do have 8 eyes. Alright. Now, here's where it really begins. Because now there's voices.
We shall be fortunate to reach the dies and make our offering before the next offering day by now.
I made haste,
Catan replied, stopping in front of his friends. He extended his forelegs. Rakosh brushed his own against one, while Urquhart did the same to the other. The tiny hairs on Catan's hide picked up his friend's scents, silk and stone.
Had you deigned Understone yesterday? We will already have our part in this,
said Rakosh.
I cannot sleep under stone.
Rakosh's mandibles twitched, and he tilted his head.
Cannot or will not?
Oh, there's a fucking third one here, right, Urquhart?
Catan cannot sleep without fresh leaves stuffed in his silt.
His slit. Ah, yes, his slit. Urquhart said, thumping the floor with one leg. He dropped his left hand to the satchel hanging at his side and adjusted the bag, producing a clack of stone against stone from within. Catan snapped his mandible fangs together.
Better leaves in my slit than on rocks.
Just the aggressive use of the word slit. Jesus. Anyway, Urquhart chittered.
Pebbles in place. They do not belong. Oh, pebbles in places they do not belong is a small problem. Barely notice them anymore.
His humor faded quickly, and his eyes, glowing the same blue as the markings on his hide, hardened.
You should not have come, Catan. I would have made an offering in your stead.
The weight of Urquhart's words formed a lump in Catan's chest, but he would not waver his purpose now.
She made her wishes clear.
Has that ever mattered to you before?
I just like to believe Beast and Gaeton have been reincarnated as spiders. Catan tapped the side of his foreleg against Urquhart's.
I would not have you risk your life on my behalf.
Urquhart's mandibles rose and fell hesitantly.
You must be...
No.
You must be warned, Catan,
said Rakosh in a low voice. The narrator didn't do that, though. His markings shone red, contrasting Urquhart's blue.
There have been whispers along the web while you've been away.
Are there not always whispers?
Catan asked. The roots in his left hand felt heavier than ever, but he ignored their weight.
She means to take a bite.
Catan glanced down at the adjoining tunnels, each of which glowed with the gentle light of crystals and spirit caps. Tarkal seemed ominously still and empty.
She has taken many miles,
he said.
It does not concern me. Should she take another?
A bite, Catan?
Rakosh narrowed his eyes.
It is whispered that she desires a brood of her own. She lacks only a mate worthy of stringing her eggs.
Don't compare. This is like, picture him with like Gaeton's face and like fucking hell. Oh my god. Alright. Moving on from Katie Roberts though. Clenching the bundled roots, Catan turned his head to stare down a hearth-shred tunnel, which led to the den of spirits. He had known this news would come eventually. It would have bored him to sever the final threads binding him to Tarkal long ago. Were those threads not so strong and meaningful? No gaming in Doritos. So far, there have been no swears. So, nothing to censor. I actually don't think there's going to be a lot to censor in this book, judging by the looks of it, especially if they use words like slit to describe, you know, their openings. Butney, you've read this book. How many swears would you say is in this? How many swears would you say is in here? Gotta find something new. I'm probably gonna make it about the Spider-Man action figure. If I can.
He's got opposable joints.
Because I'm glancing ahead, it doesn't look like there's... It's not like Katie Roberts is fucking The Beast, where there's just like swearing every single page. A few when he meets Ivy. Okay, okay. So it happens, it's just not like every paragraph, basically. Like, you know, like The Beast. I gotcha, I gotcha. We'll see what happens this time round, though. Yeah, see you in the Northern Territory. I've seen that fucking shirt everywhere. Like, I feel like everybody owns a shirt like that. It's nuts. It's good logo, though. It's good logo. I wish I'd lived in the Northern Territory to get one of those shirts. Moby, are you talking about the cheese? Are you talking about the feta cheese? Because I do like me some feta cheese. Or it could be fettuccine. I do like fettuccine as well. There's definitely cheese. Hopefully Catan doesn't have any cheese in his slit. He's got to clean that out. Sorry. Where was I at? Queen Zervashi had never hidden her desire for Catan in the years after her war against the Thornskullvricks of Kaldarak. If ever he might felt honored or prideful due to her attentions, the chances of it were as dead as his mother, sire, and eight of his 9 brothers and sisters. Urquhart bent his forelegs inward, scraping the hooked claws on their tips across the floor.
You still mean to go?
Catan raised his hand to display the leaf-wrapped bundle.
I must take my offering to the 8. Zavashi would want nothing less.
Rakosh eased forward, dipping his head until his face nearly touched the bundle, and drew a deep breath. His eyes widened, and he straightened quickly.
Bender Road?
Get on, you fool,
growled Urquhart. With a chitter, Rakosh spread his forelegs and sank into a shallow bow. All 4 arms spread wide. His they have like, okay, I know how they look now. They've got 6 legs, and they have 4 hands, but the 2 of their hands are like the centaur part. I gotcha. Like they're like 4 arms from Ben 10, but with like 6 legs. I gotcha. Or I could have just said Goro from fucking Mortal Kombat, but as a spider. And 2 hearts. Jesus. Might as well be part cow as well. They got like fucking so many hearts. Holy shit. The human language is brought into the book. I'm sorry, they're not speaking English right now? wait a minute. As the reader, we have the, oh god. We'll see how that goes. Ben 10 is a reference for that. It was the most recent thing I've seen, Mopey. It was the most recent thing I've seen. I love Ben 10 though. Ben 10's pretty good. Oh yeah. Sunflowers, welcome to the streams. I hope you don't have arachnophobia, because there do be a Spider-Man on screen. Imagine if Spider-Man had arachnophobia. Would he be just terrified of himself? Of what he's become? I wonder if that's a Spider-Man comic. I wonder what universe that's in. Anyway, with a chitter, Rakosh spread his forelegs and sank into a shallow bow, all four arms spread wide. His long black and red hair, woven into a thick braid, fell over his shoulder.
As ever, Catan, time spent with you proves nothing, if not thrilling.
You should not encourage him,
Urquhart scolded.
The Queen is unlikely to find humor in this.
She is not meant to find rumor in it,
Catan replied.
It's not worth her wrath.
Zavashi has made clear her wishes,
Catan snapped, gnashing his mandibles.
and I am obeying.
That is the reason for your late arrival,
said Rakosh.
You were searching the tangle for that root just to spite her.
Urquhart stared up at Catan, mandibles moving from side to side as though he were struggling to keep them from clamping together. The question in his eyes was clear, as though he'd spoken it out loud.
Is this worth your life?
I have lost most nothing. I have lost most everything because of her.
Is that supposed to be almost?
I have lost almost everything because of her.
No. No, surely that's just a coincidence that it says most. I have lost most everything because of her. That's just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence, surely. Surely not. This is page 6. Surely not. You'll be scared by the... Imagine if, like, Batman was terrified of bats, and whenever they throw up the bat signal, he just fucking has a panic attack. Like, fucking hell. And the degree of acrophobia. That's right. There are Spider-Men that are more like spiders than... Cause fucking, I think it's the Amazing Spider-Man that most of his gadgets and shit are his powers. Versus, like, you know, I forget the actor's name, but the first trilogy of Spider-Man movies where he's got the web fluid in his, like, veins or some shit. That guy, and he's got, like, the little hairs on his fingertips. Like, he'd be quite spider-like. I think he was. But he was... Wait, he was scared of bats? No way. Why would he... Wait, hang on. There's no way. Why would he be scared of bats and then become a Batman? I guess, too, you'd obviously instill fear into his enemies of the bats, you know, of the Batman. But why would he... Why would he... God, why isn't there a superhero called Cockroach Man? Everyone fucking hates cockroaches. Absolutely terrifying creatures. He overcame it at some point. He's been training on the Himalayan mountaintops. He climbed to the peak of Mount Everest and overcame his fear of bats. That's how he did it. Mothman. I like to believe that every hero or villain's all of their names for heroes and villains is their weakness. Like the Riddler is afraid of riddles. He can't solve them, so he makes other people do it for him. Who was scared of bars? Prison Man. He's terrified of him. Scares the shit out of him when he goes behind him. Oh, that's a good question, Sunflowers. I imagine Superman would be afraid of... men. that would be my guess. Or the Green Lantern is afraid of green light. That'd be an unfortunate superpower. Or Thor is afraid of thunder and lightning. He's scared of storms. Which is reasonable. It's understandable to have a fear of storms. Tobey Maguire, that's the guy. That's the guy who played Spider-Man. I remember that now. Tobey Maguire. Afraid of men with powers. It's the cutest buttons. I've only ever seen cute bats. I know that there are like crazy looking bats out there, but I have not seen any images of them. I've only seen like what are they called? I think it starts with a P. I don't know the adjective I'm thinking of, but they're like pygmy bats, I think they're called. They're like fucking tiny, like they're as small as your finger. They're super duper small. All of them are cute. Only when they're combined with a human do they become not as cute. Although I guess it depends on what type of like vampire / Dracula you're looking at. Toby, Andrew, and Tom. All of the Spider-Men. All of the Spider-Men. Yeah, that fucking Spider-Man movie, the one with Tom Holland, the recent one, with the multiverse thing, it was basically just like fucking Enter the Spider-Verse, but with the fucking like Marvel Cinematic Universe. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool movie. If anything, just for the closure. Just to know what happened. And why there's so many Spider-Men now. And why the actor keeps changing. It's like, oh, it's just, yeah, because they're different universes. Just different universes, that's all. Tobey Maguire, he's still around. He's still Spider-Man in his own world. Anyway, I'm just going to gloss over the fact that most is probably going to be almost, but I don't know, it might just be most, and I really hope there's not a million typos in this book, considering it's written by 2 people, but we'll see. Keeping his voice low. He did not keep his voice low. Despite the flare of angry heat in his chest.
If she takes anything more, it'll be on my terms.
He also spoke out loud, very angrily. Urquhart released a huff and scratched his chin with the tip of his claw.
If this is what you wish, Catan, I shall stride with you.
As will I,
said Rakosh.
But the High Claiming will be upon us soon. She is likely to forgive a rejection this year.
Even queens must learn to accept punishment.
Catan relaxed his mandibles and opened his mouth to let out a huff of his own. The air he drew into his lungs was cold and stale, so unlike the hot, damp, fresh, dank air of the surface.
I do not seek to throw my life away when so many others have been destroyed already. I want to only return to the Tangle and fulfill my duty.
Catan taps his friend's forelegs with the end of his own and tucked the mender root against his side. That might not have been Catan saying that, but... Oh, no, it was. It was.
For all you have complained of me being late, where is Telok? He should have arrived before either of you.
Rakosh and Urquhart exchanged a glance. Brief as it was, Catan knew exactly what it meant.
Do not withhold what you know,
Catan said, letting his mandibles droop.
The Moonfall matrons bade Telok and the other hunters... Sorry. The Moonfall matrons bade Telok and the other hunters into...
Man, I can easily believe this is not English now.
The Moonfall matrons bade Telok and the other hunters enter the Tangle to find fresh quarry last sunfall.
I feel like something's missing there, but I'm not sure what it is. Urquhart said, his voice a low rumble.
They're not expected to return until Suncrest.
Oh, there's supposed to be a 2. Sorry, hold on. Let me reread this with a 2 in it.
The Moonfall matrons bade Telloc and the other hunters to enter the tangle to find fresh quarry.
Last sunfall. Wait. I'm assuming last sunfall. Is it until last whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm moving on anyway. Catan straightened, curling his hands into fists. He longed to have his barbed spear in hand, though he knew it could do him no good now. That it would bring him no comfort.
The night before offering day?
Because we had nothing to fill our bellies but roots and mushrooms these past 3-8 days.
How many fucking days? Hold on.
To fill our bellies but roots and mushrooms these past 3-8 days, at least.
Now, I'm gonna stop you right there for a minute. It is written 3-8 days. Like, 8 days is one word. So I'm assuming 8 days. No, Bunny, there's no... Because I'm assuming it's 38 days. Wait. 3-8 days. No, wait, no, really? That's how... Wait, hang on. No. Is that how that shit works? Wait. No, that doesn't make any sense. That terminology doesn't make any sense to me. Hold on. I need to look this up. 8 days is another way to say week. You're joking. Oh. Okay. So this is interesting, because Katie Roberts did not use words that don't exist. She stretched the fucking thesaurus out to use words that do exist but aren't used in like regular speaking, like fucking Latin words. Tiffany Roberts, or you know Tiffany and Robert, they're using words that are more like they exist, but they're not like real. They're more like slang words, kinda, which I guess makes more sense in a reader's context. But obviously, I don't fucking know what the hell an 8 day is. Now I know. Maybe 8 days is a week. Well, I mean, that's the... Again, it's not like a fucking real dictionary meaning, but the accepted terminology of it is, yeah, it's a week. So basically, they're just saying 3 weeks. That's weird. The past 3-8 days. Interesting. Well, I know that I can just call next week the next 8 day. That's probably not how that word works now. But either way, you learn something new every 8 day.
There is no meat in Moonfall Tunnel,
said Rakosh.
save that rotting on the bones of our neighbors. The rest is spent over the Queen's cooking fires.
Anger dwelled in Catan's chest. The tiny hairs on his limbs stood on end, and his hide thrummed with restless energy. Though he rarely worked alongside the other hunters, he knew they were fulfilling their duties. They were bringing fresh meat into the city daily, enough to ensure that every Vrix had some to eat.
You speak true?
He asked. Rakosh bent his arms at their elbows and crossed his forearms in the air in front of his chest, creating the sign of an 8. Oh, interesting. No Vrix invoked the gods lightly, and Rakosh rarely did so at all.
The same whispers come from all over Tarkal. Only those close to the Queen have ample meat.
Even when he'd been a broodling, Rakosh had possessed a talent for gathering information and gossip. Catan was never sure how his friend managed to know everything that was going on in Tarkal. and the rumors spreading amongst his inhabitants. But Rakosh's information was rarely incorrect. The Tangle was nearing the end of the current calm season. With the flood season looming, many of the jungle creatures were in a state of migration, seeking out new dens that would keep them out of the floodwaters that would ravage the land. This was one of the most bountiful times of the year to hunt. More creatures on the move meant more opportunity for kills. Oh, they're going to build up that kill streak. They're going to get a mortar. They're going to call in an airstrike. Anyway, there was no reason for the Vrix of Tarkal to be suffering a meat shortage now. Catan tightened his hold on the bundled roots, making the thick leaves around them creak.
We cannot allow this to continue.
You're not the only one who feels that way,
said Rakosh.
Silence yourselves.
Urquhart hissed, but the narrator can't hiss. His words echoed along several of the nearby tunnels, bouncing back to the chamber in eerie fragments.
We risk enough talking as freely as we have been, so go no further. Her webs run ever wider and is woven far more intricately than yours, Rakosh.
A tactical nuke. That's what happens when you get a kill streak. Rakosh and Catan snapped their mouths shut. Urquhart's rebuke did not lessen Catan's anger, but it granted him focus. Enough focus to understand the ultimate impotence of his rage. Catan drummed his fingers on the upper segments of his legs. His mandibles were low, but they were unrelaxed. Though he was agitated, he wanted to be sure it wasn't that... It was clear he wasn't angry at Urquhart. He brought his forearms flat together, side by side in a brief gesture of apology.
Come!
Oh, careful there, Catan. What are you trying to tell me?
I should probably preference that was not in the book. He said, turning toward Heart's Thread tunnel.
I must make my offering to the Eight, that our queen might better understand my loyalty.
Oh, there's a big old blank page before chapter 2. Okay. I don't respond well like that. Hang on. Before going to chapter 2, let me check how many chapters there actually are in this book. I'm assuming this is significantly bigger than the... Oh no, there's 28 chapters, but more pages than the Beast book, that's for sure. A lot more thicker. I also want to know if I should do 2 chapters a day or 1 chapter a day. Holy shit, chapter 2 is so much longer than chapter 1. Okay, I'll do chapter 2, but then we'll see where we're at and if we can play Mega Man later. Chapter 2. The only sign that Catan and his companions were making forward progress along Heart's Thread Tunnel was the stone carvings on the walls, depictions of dozens of long-dead warriors, and the many queens descended from the city's founder, Queen Takari, all of which had been worn over the long years. But the web-like writing on some of the carvings was still readable. They had long since passed Prime Fan Jar Jar Binks's test Yune Ani Wool Okarari. I'm sorry, I think I had a stroke there. Who had slain 2 score warriors from another city in defense of Queen Vexi and died of her wounds. The carvings of Queen Ashai and Prime Fang Zera had likewise been left behind, along with those of so many other queens and champions whose names were remembered now only in ancient writings kept in the queen's records. Between the depictions of the females were smaller carvings, all of which were so faded that Catan had always wondered if the damage had been deliberate. None of those carvings bore writing that could be read, but Catan had always noted something interesting. Most of the indistinct figures... Hold on. Within them seemed to have 6 legs rather than 4. That marked them as males. But Catan could not recall having ever learned of a male who'd been honored like this, who'd been worthy of remembrance in the same space as champions and queens. The tunnel was wide and tall, with stone supports standing at regular intervals along its length. Large crystals glowed from their places in the hewn alcoves, bathing the crowded Verics in soft blue light. And the swaths of dyed silk hanging between the supports swayed in the gentle flow of air from the den of spirits ahead. Hundreds of ricks were packed in the tunnel as tightly as threads of the most intricately woven cloth. The male's eyes and markings glowed in the light of the crystals, creating a splash of blue, green, red, and the far rarer purple everywhere. Oh, I think Catan's special because he's purple. He's a purple one of them. The females, though outnumbered 2-to-1, stood head and shoulders above the males, each of them nearly a segment taller than their counterparts. Though their hides lacked any colorful markings, most wore eye-catching adornments, gold bands and rings, polished gems, decorated belts, beads, and pieces of brightly dyed silk. The buzz of conversation was strong enough for Catan to feel it through the stone floor. All those voices came together to form an indecipherable sound, as primal as the ceaseless calls of the tiny, unseen creatures in the tangle. It just feels like drows. I hope there's like a Colosseum scene where Catan has to fight another Spider-Man to the death. And there's a big tournament arc. And it like spans like 3 chapters, and he has to keep fighting more progressively tougher enemies. Only to escape by the last one. Never having to have the full climax of defeating the fucking... where am I going with this? I don't want to play like Someone at a Swordcraft story again. I might do that one day. Anyway. The only lulls in the conversation immediately around Catan came whenever he neared one of the many queen's fangs, who were positioned along the walls. Each of the fangs stood tall and imposing, her right hands clamped on the shaft of a war spear, with a brood black rock head. Those spears were longer than Catan was tall. Each of the females wore a fanged club on her hip, as well as weapons that had the pointed teeth of various beasts and shards of black rock embedded in the hardened wood. None of the fangs needed either weapon to kill, specifically in so crowded a space. Most of the other Vrix males, particularly, seemed to avoid looking upon the fangs directly. The elite warriors were only one part of the queen's vast web Urquhart had mentioned. They just happened to be the most viable part. Catan looked each fang in her eyes. These warriors did not frighten him, though he knew any of them could have brought about his end. Most of them knew him. Some he'd even fought beside in the war against Kaldarak. But he did not find the one fang he sought. Not yet. 1,000 years passed between each step forward. I'm assuming figuratively, of course. But 1,000 years passed between each step forward, but the pace did not diminish Catan's resolve. His determination only grew with each segment closer he came to the Den of Spirits. The same clarity that suffused him during hunts settled upon him, sharpening his focus. His place was in the tangle, stalking dangerous beasts, exploring the dark, dank places never touched by sunlight. Fighting through the jumbled plants in the hot, sticky air, today would make that clear. He would make the queen understand without room for doubt. Neither Rakosh nor neither Rakosh nor Orcott spoke. They understood as well as anyone could, and knew Catan would not be deterred. Okay. Drow. Ah, drow. Drow, I gotcha. You took me for a loop there when you said, like cow, but with the DR sound and not C. So like, Kerdrow. But, do you mean drows as in like, the type of monster that they are? Or like, it's a race in D&D. Is it like a race of spider people? Or like cave-dwelling people? Hang on, I gotta look it up now, I guess. Hang on, fuck. Oh. Well, I guess if you just, you know, give him an extra set of arms and like 2 extra sets of legs. Yeah. And maybe a thorax as well. Alright. Maybe an exoskeleton too, but you know, that's pretty on point. Driders are like spider centaurs. Oh, okay, okay. Let me just look up driders real fast. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That'd be it. Oh, should I actually put that like on stream? That's about as close as you're gonna fucking get to one of these goddamn characters. Alright. You just need to turn one of the sets of legs into a pair of arms and you're set. Like, that's it. That's what I'm looking at. The goddess is spider-like. Okay. She'll talk your ear off about them. Good lord. Good lord. Man, I hope somebody who's glancing around on Twitch happens to spot the thumbnail that is just like Spider-Man and Elsa, and decides to watch the stream and realizes that the fucking shit I'm talking about has absolutely nothing to do with Frozen, Elsa, Anna, but it does have something to do with Spider-Man. Very spider-like men. Jesus. Anyway, sorry, where was I up to? Let's focus. Hot, sticky, dank air. Catan's eyes turned ahead more and more once they passed the carvings of Queen Lyris, who had been only 3 generations removed from Queen Takari. He couldn't see far due to the females in the crowd, but there was a hint of more intense light ahead. He was drawing close. The end of the Ensnared tunnel finally came into view. Gaps cut out of the wall allowed the light from the den of spirits to stream through and cast a huge carving of Queen Takari above the entryway in bold relief. Urquhart tapped a knee joint against one of Catan's rear legs. The gesture quick and firm, and its message plain. He was with Catan. A moment later, Rakosh tapped Catan's hindquarters in a similar manner, giving him a little spank on the booty. 3 Queen's Fangs stood at the entryway, stopping the Vricks seeking entrance. Their hulking forms were shadowed by the light of the cavern behind them, though their gold and gems gleamed as they moved. One of the Fangs shoved a male back against the wall with one hand and dropped another to his waist, ignoring the pained chirrup he released. Chirrup. Anyway. She plucked something off his belt. The object was too small for Catan to identify immediately, not until its sharpened edge caught the light. It was a Blackrock knife, the sort weavers like Rakosh often used in their work. The blade wasn't even enough to span across the female's hand. The fangs of her mandibles were likely just as large as that Blackrock shard, if not larger. Catan moved forward instinctively, unsure of what he intended to do. But certain that he could not merely watch, he had to act. Fang or not, no Vricks in Tarkal had cause to treat the others as enemies. I just want to make a point that I really like that this is from the perspective of a story and not like from one person's perspective like the Katie Roberts books. I like this aspect for a story. It makes more sense, you know? Which I guess is how, you know, stories are supposed to go, but anyway. He was halted by a strong hand on his arm and a spindly leg stretching in front of him. Catan didn't know whether to be grateful for or frustrated by Urquhart and Rakosh's intervention.
Weapons are not permitted in the Den of Spirits.
The Fang... That was somebody else. That was somebody else.
Weapons are not permitted in the Den of Spirits.
The Fang declared in a voice, at once hissing and booming, but the narrator just decided to put a shitty voice on it instead. The male forced his mandibles down, bowed his head, and brought his forearms together slowly in a sign of supplication. At least, as much as the crushing hand pressed on his chest allowed him to do. For a few moments, the crowd around the entrance was silent, and the buzzing voices from ahead and behind Catan seemed muted and distant. The air was thicker, heavier, and crackled in the same sort of energy one could sense in the tangle just before a lightning storm. An unspoken question hung in the air between all those silent vricks. Why were the Queen's Fangs permitted to carry weapons in that sacred cavern if no one else was? That's Australia, mate. That's what the police offered. A second Fang joined the first, extending her foreleg to brush it along the side of her companion's. It is a tool, Ayurka. The second Fang said it in a familiar voice. She was Onset. He's a weaver. Ayurka released a clicking growl and shoved away from the male who sagged and seemed about to fall until Onset caught him by the arm.
Weaver or not, he's a fool,
Ayurka snarled.
And our queen has no time for fools.
She slapped the flat of the back rock knife onto Onset's open palm and stalked away to take her central position at the entryway. Onset helped the male regain his balance. What are you called, and where do you dwell? The male's response was too low for Catan to make out. I cannot allow you to enter the Den of Spirits with this knife, Garen, she said, tucking the tool behind her broad belt. But by the 8, I shall see it return to you when this day is through. Garen offered another bow with forearms together.
Would that the...
I'm just gonna say this how this is written.
Would that the Queen had more such than as...
Sorry, I'm having a fucking aneurysm. Hang on.
Would that the Queen had more such as your brood sister in her ranks?
Rakoshi whispered, although the narrator didn't know that he was whispering at the time, so he just yelled that out across the room, I guess. Would that the Queen had more such as a... I understand what they're trying to say. Rakoshi's like, hey, your brood sister's in cahoots with the Queen. But like, well, the Queen would hire your brood sister into the Fangs. But like, why can't my brain understand this? Would that the Queen had more such as your brood sister in her ranks? Well, you're struggling. Is this English? I'm trying to make sense of this so badly, and I don't know if it's like right or not. I can't tell. Maybe Rakosh just has trouble speaking. Maybe it's just Rakosh. But I shit you not, it's... Would that the Queen had more such as your brood sister in her ranks? Read that book in 5 days. Alright. It's gonna take a lot longer for me though, that's for sure. It's like that clip of, you ever have a dream that you wish you could do whatever you want, and then it like ends kind of fine? That you want him to do you so hard you could do anything? Like, it's like I'm having that moment right now. Would that the queen had much more such as your brood sister in her ranks? Like, I can't. Anyway.
100 as such as 100 such as onset is far more than any of us could deserve,
Catan replied.
and would still not be enough to change anything.
Catan watched as Onset said something more to the male and sent him into the den of spirits. She was attired the same as her sister Fangs. Gold bands around her upper arms, leather straps adorned with her red belts on her wrist. Yatin hide. Gorget. That is not I said that completely wrong. Gorget. I don't think it's pronounced Gorget. I think it's supposed to be Gorgay. I think it's supposed to be Gorgay. My mind was like, oh, you know the word dovet? It's pronounced duvet. You know the word bucket? It's pronounced bouquet. Gorget? Probably pronounced Gorgay. Sorry, Gorgay. So that's how I assume that's supposed to be said. Now, I'm just going with it. It's just Valley Girl. Moby, I've got like 2 female voices and that's it. And thankfully there were only 2 in this scene. Otherwise, I'll be pressed for other voices that I don't have. It's the only 2 I got. Anyway, Gorget with large thin bands of gold running from the base of her neck up to her jaw. Strips of red silk hung from her belt, which was decorated with pressed gold and more beads into web-like patterns. Her braided hair was pulled back to hang in a bundle at her back. I'm glad that they just said back and not small of her back, otherwise I would have shat myself. Adorned with more beads and golden rings. And, of course, she carried a spear with a fanged club. However gentle and Onset could be, she was a warrior to her core, exceptionally skilled even amongst the Queen's elite. She had proven herself more than most in the battles against Calderak. Catan entangled his path toward Onset and soon enough was standing before her. Her eyes flashed purple with reflected light from the nearby crystals, and her gold adornments glinted. "My brood brother!" She slid her forelegs towards Catan and sank into a bow that nearly put her at face level with his. Catan hooked his forelegs around hers and leaned forward. They both opened their mandibles wide as he tipped his head crest against Onset's.
"Brood sister!"
he said out loud for no particular reason. Her mandibles, half again as large as Catan's, closed lightly over his. He had seen females, Onset included, use their mandibles in battle. There was no question of the strength she could exert if she chose to do so. But she was one of the few Vricks who he trusted wholeheartedly. Those thoughts faded as her scent washed over him, drawn in both through the air and the brush of his hairs on his legs against hers. For a short while, he forgot Zervashi and Offering Day, forgot the cold, unyielding stone around him, forgot what he intended to do, and the expected consequences of it. Onset straightened, angling her head to look down at Catan. "You should have sent word when you arrived in Tarkal, brood brother." I like to believe brood brother and brood sister is the same name for stepbrother and stepsister. So realistically, Onset is just saying the word stepbro in all of these contexts. At least that's what's going on in my head. "It has been long since I laid eyes upon you." Are people getting horny for spiders? Dude, maybe people get fucking horny for anything. Alright? There is like a whole slew of these monster... What are they called? What are they called? Monster... I got the name here somewhere. Monster lovers. Monster lovers. I'm stuck in your web, step bro. Please help me, step bro. Oh, your sticky web is all around me. Monster fuckers. Born of the same egg. Wait, okay. So I don't know much about spider lore. Alright, I don't know. I don't know how... the only spider movie I've seen is Charlotte's Web. I'm not including the Spider-Man movies because for obvious fucking reasons. But like, Charlotte's Web is the only thing I've seen with like, you know, spiders and like the birth process, so to speak. When you say the same egg, is that like one from the egg sac, or the same like? So it's born in clusters. So like, so brood sister and brood brother, they're born from the same cluster of eggs, is my guess. Is that what it is? They're born from the same cluster of eggs, or like, was it the same egg inside of the egg? Like, are they twins or something? So they're related. I believe so. Yes. Carries them around. Okay. I know they said earlier that he had multiple brood brothers and brood sisters. So this is just a coincidence that he happened to meet one of them right now. It's like bags and leaves. God, spiders, man. But nah, Moby, there's plenty of monster books to fill any fantasy that you want. Plenty of monster books. You gonna go up with a mermaid? Or a merman, I should say? Well, I've got the book for you. And also snakes. And, other monsters that I can't name off the top of my head right now. Mentally left the chat. Anyway, withdrawing his forelegs, Catan bent them and knelt on his lower joints to bow, drawing his forearms together.
I am sorry, Onset. The tangle binds me tighter each time I venture into it.
So what I'm assuming here, by the way, just as a brief recap on the past several pages, Catan is going to offer something to the queen that the queen does not want to see offered at all. The queen doesn't want to have on offering day, and he's trying to get banished by the queen by offering it so he can stay out into the Tangled forever and never have to return. That's my guess. That's my guess on what's happening right now, based on the previous chapter. Oh yeah, the Kraken as well. Fucking dust walkers. My god. Anyway, she tapped the butt of her spear on the floor. May the Eight keep their many eyes upon you, Catan, and ensure the day does not come when the Tangle refuses to release you. Okay. Mopey, I don't understand what the GD means in the werewolf people. Like the good werewolf people? The god werewolf people? What kind of werewolf people are we talking about? The GD. The GD werewolves. I don't know what GD stands for. Botany bully. Oh, I'm absorbing as much as I can. Ah, goddamn. Okay, goddamn. Gotcha. Goddamn. Goddamn, I couldn't see what goddamn was. Goddamn. Anyway. As she rose, Onset shifted her gaze to look past him. Rekosh, Urquhart, I'm glad to see you also. Ah, fuck, we doing this? We do it, hang on, I can do this now. I've learned why I couldn't do this before. Hold on. There we go. Oh, let me see if I can... Oh, I might have to restart the fucking thing, actually. Actually, let me do that before I fucking do this, just because I don't look like a fucking laughing stock. Hang on. Hang on, because I wanna do this properly, goddammit. Oh, that's all good, sunflowers. I hope you feel better as well. I hope the sickness isn't too bad, and then you feel better later. Well, plenty of rest should hopefully help. The horny book during No Nut November. I'll do my best, Mopey. I'll do my best. Although, I don't think I'll be nutting anytime soon. Anyway.
On set.
Ah, perfect. So now I can do this properly.
On set.
The two males said in unison, just as the narrator did just then, unbelievably. Her mandibles and her eyes relaxed. Catan could almost pretend that all was as it had been while they were broodlings, before their lives had been complicated by the demands of Tarkal and its queen. Oh lord, I had to play two sounds of my own voice back to back in order to make two voices at the same time. Thankfully, during the power of magic, I'm able to do such a thing. Gotta love magic. And live video editing. I'm kidding, of course. I lost my place. Holy shit.
Though I am sorry to deny you the pleasure of throwing me against the wall on set, I must tell you I left my knife in my den.
Rakosh said, leaning forward, which made the red marking on his back glow a little stronger. Onset chittered softly. As always, Rakosh, I am sure I will find reason to do so, as long as you keep talking. Rakosh's mandibles twitched, and his forelegs drummed to the floor.
To be so known by another is a thrill.
Another chitter escaped Onset. Then she adjusted the grip of her right hands along the shaft of her spear, raised her chin and squared her shoulders. Her lower left hand fell, its thumb hooking on her belt just above the club. No matter how many times Catan had seen it happen, Onset's transition from caring brood sister and friend to Queen's Fang always amazed him. You are welcome on behalf of Queen Zervash, Tess Kalam Ani, Ol Urakari, Queen of Tarkal and Guardian of the Ancestral Crystals, she intoned. I now realize what my stroke earlier was. It was the name of the queen, the full name of the queen, and I was really hoping that would not come up again, but it has. It has, and I hope it comes up many times later, because I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and I don't know how to. Our queen bids you to make offering to the Eight, that our city may remain prosperous. Is getting too much power. I'm gonna fucking... Is this what cursing is like? Is this what the cursing Gaeton did all those times in the previous books? Is this what cursing is? Am I gonna summon something? Am I gonna summon a Spider-Man into my house by uttering these phrases? Urkon eased closer and sank into a reverent pose, arms intersected in the gesture of the Eight, which for him would always be incomplete. Oh, because he's missing an arm, that's right. Rakosh and Catan did the same. Onset flicked her gaze towards Arka. Oh my god, I can't say her name now. Ayarka. Dipping her head closer to Catan's, she whispered, After you've made your offering, hasten to the deep delve tunnel. Do not delay. The queen is in foul temper today. As Catan and his companions proceed past Onset, his thought was given voice by a low whisper from Rakosh.
Does she has she any other temper?
The fullness of the Den of Spirits light struck Catan before he could reply. He slitted his eyes against the glare, and the cavern gradually came into focus. As much as he'd come to dislike the understone, or being under stone, Catan always felt a flare of wonder when he entered this cavern.
I'm about to bust.
Oh god, Mopey, don't bust now.
I thought this was the bathroom.
There's a spider there! Hank, watch out! There's a spider! No! Hank, be careful! I hear the sound of clanging outside my room. Oh, fuck. It's happened again. Gotta go call the exorcist. Horrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I was also... I realized I've completely fucked up with the action figures on screen. Because I was gonna... I thought... I was too used to the Beast, where, like, they're all there at the same time, but the Queen hasn't showed up yet. The other lady is probably, like, fucking 10 chapters away. And Spider-Man is the only one in play right now. And I was gonna have Spider-Man, like, pointing to whichever side he's with right now. But... a little bit too early for that. A little bit too early for the joke. But that's fine. Eventually it'll be important. Eventually. Anyway, the ceiling was so high it was almost hazy, bluish darkness. A darkness both broken and enhanced by the sunlight streaming in through the hole at the ceiling's peak. From the floor, that hole looked so small. Sorry. That hole looked too small, even a hatchling to pass through. I can't fucking read now. But Catan had peered into it from the surface. It was at least 5 segments across, big enough to swallow the largest female with room to spare. Looking through that hole in the dark of night to see the blue crystals glowing from far below had been an awe-inspiring experience. Now, those many faceted crystals were catching the sunlight and shattering it, spraying rainbows across the cavern walls and stonework. Crystal formations stood throughout the cavern, some of them larger than Catan. They grew from the floor, hung from the ceiling, and jutted out from the walls, shaped stone flowed around the crystals in many places, taking advantage of their light to make it clear the writing etched everywhere. Here were recorded the stories of Tarkal, its queens, and the Eight, available for all Vrix to read, though some sections had been blocked off for as long as Catan could remember, so stone shapers could repair the wear they'd accrue over the years. Catan had never seen any stone shapers working in those areas, and Urquhart had never met another shaper who claimed to have done so. There was only one ongoing piece of stonework in the dens of spirits, a new statue that had been taking shape over the past few years. Another side take. I like that there is this ominous, that there's something evil for foreshadowing. Like, there is a section of history that has been removed deliberately, and they're covering it up intentionally, as though something that shouldn't be written is there. And I wonder what it is. There were not merely carvings here. I don't know. I keep using the word cravings. There were not merely carvings here. There were statues and sculptures, the most prominent of which depicted Queen Takari in 10 segments in a 10-segment tall stone. She was surrounded by 8 pillars that towered over her, each of which bore 8 gemstone eyes. The eyes of the 8 looking down upon Takari to fulfill her oath. Zervashi's statue would be twice as tall when it was finished. The old stories said Queen Takari had discovered the Den of Spirits as she had been leading her exiled people in search of a sanctuary. She'd fallen through the brambles that had grown over the hole of her head, and by the grace of the 8 had landed unharmed. It had been their will to guide her to this place. That there had... My brain right now, man. All my neurons are firing. Their will had safeguarded her. Once Zervashi's statue was complete, anything that fell through that hole was likely to be caught. not by the gods, but by her gigantic stone hands. I keep wanting to say the word gigantic. I don't know why I want to say the word gigantic. I think I just like it. Like, when playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, I like to use the word Gigantamax, because I think it's funny. Everybody else says the words Gigantamax, but I like to believe it as Gigantamax. Because I think it's funny. Those stories claimed Queen Takari had sensed the spirits of her ancestors here. She had sworn to protect the Den of Spirits from that day onward. She had sworn her entire bloodline to uphold that sacred duty. She'd become the first guardian of the ancestral crystals. But Catan had never sensed any spirits in this cavern. Perhaps it was because of the last Queen Takari's bloodline, descended over countless generations, had been slain by Zervashi in this cavern 16 years ago. Oh, so a new queen has taken her place that isn't supposed to be the queen. It's like if somebody took up the place of the royal family by assassinating the royal family. That by proxy makes you the leader, apparently. Queen Zervashi stood upon the uppermost portion of a broad stone dais in the center of the cavern, backed by towering columns, carved archways, dangling banners, two of her fangs, and a single queen's claw, one of the males who served as her personal hunters and scouts. Ringlets adorned the small braids into which Zervashi's hair had been arranged, and her belt made onsets look plain. She wore enough gold that she seemed to emit her own light. All that metal, along with her many beads and gems, was polished to shining. Where she was not clad in metal, her body was swathed in sheer purple silk, some of which was so long that it hung over her hindquarters and brushed the floor. I like the use of the word hindquarters. She did not move, save the occasional twitch of her mandibles or forelegs, observing the Vricks making their offerings to the nearby spirit speakers with unsettling indifference. When it came to the queen, boredom was dangerous. Catan sank into a lower stance, putting himself on level with most of the nearby males, and continued following the procession. Vricks were streaming forward. My god, I fucked it up twice now. Vricks were streaming toward the central platform from 4 different tunnels, guided by fangs positioned at regular intervals. Silk-shrouded spirit speakers along the dais. Their flowing white coverings lended a sense of softness and grace to their large bodies. They collected offerings from the approaching Vricks and gave blessings in return. Only Arc Speaker Valkai... I really don't want to do a voice for Valkai. If I do, I'm busting out the Go XLR. Who alone wore intricate gold bands around her... Oh, her. Never mind. I was going to do never mind. Maybe I'll still use the Go XLR. We'll see. Around her arms and neck. Oh, sorry, I forgot. This is all like an outer... Okay, sorry. Only Arc Speaker Valkai, who alone wore intricate bands around her arms and neck, was not taking offerings. She stood just below and to the side of the queen, with her arms bent and forearms crossed, in the sign of the 8. To Catan, she seemed to be avoiding looking at everything directly, especially the males with yellow sashes and flattened strips of bark, who were alongside her spirit speakers. The queen's scribes, who were noting the name and offering of every Vrix in attendance. Catan glanced at the unfinished statue nearby, which already loomed larger than anything in the cavern, even though it lacked 2 arms and a head. He found himself suddenly torn between his anger and his urge to leave, to return to the jungle, to delve deeper into the tangle than ever without leaving so much as a frayed thread the queen's claw to follow. Another meaningful tap came from Urquhart, followed by one from Rakesh. Only 8 Vricks remained between Catan and the dais. Perhaps he might have taken that number as a sign, rather than an inevitability, were his attention not otherwise occupied. The queen stirred. Zavashi's amber eyes glinted as boldly as her metal adornments as she swung her gaze to Catan. He had faced down bloodthirsty beasts that hadn't looked half as predatory as the queen. Her mandibles opened wide and rose. Her mandibles opened wide and rose. Her open mouth parted enough for her tongue to slip out and trace one of the pointed tips of her upper jaw. She turned her head and spoke to the nearest of her fangs, Prime Fang Korala, the head of her elite warriors. Prime Claw Durax watched the exchange from behind the females, with his pale blue eyes narrowed. When the queen had finished, Durax turned his head to glare at Catan. One of his hands dropped to clasp the haft of the black rock axe slung on his belt. One moment. A tongue, yes. Of course the spiders have tongues, Mopey. How is the Spider-Man supposed to do it with the human female if he does not have a tongue? The reason why I'm defining haft is because I don't know if okay, wow. I actually didn't know that. Wow. I just thought shaft was the cover for everything. Haft is apparently for a shorter rod-like object. Interesting. Didn't know that. Haft. It's like shaft, but anyway. Korala strode forward, halted at the edge of the dais, and banged the butt of her spear on the stone, making a hollow clacking that echoed through the cavern. Hang on, I gotcha. Hold on, fam. Hold on. Catan tes ishunai ire okari. Approach the dais so our queen may honor you by accepting your offering. That was probably a female talking, but it's too late now to go back and change that. Catan was aware of the hush that had fallen over the den of spirits. The cavern was so quiet he could hear the air flowing in through the hole overhead, as clearly as he could feel it across his fine hairs and hide. Some might have called it bravery, others foolishness, but he felt no fear, and he did not hesitate to move forward. The queen's heavy, hungry gaze did not imitate him, or intimidate. Jesus Christ! It didn't intimidate him. It only filled him with fresh determination. Ah, you've been filled with determination. Would you like to save your progress? Fuck, man. Who the hell was... Oh, Zavashi was the queen. Okay. Finally learning your place, Catan. And yes, it's that voice because the other female is going to get the other voice. Zervashi asked, her voice low and buzzing. The narrator didn't read that part beforehand.
My queen demanded my presence.
Catan stopped at the base of the dais, tilting his head back even more than usual to hold her gaze.
Catan, sweet one, I have yet to make a demand of you.
Her mandibles snapped toward each other, their tips touching before she spread them again.
When I finally do, you will not look quite so smug. As you say, my queen,
he grated, barely stopping himself before bristling at the truth of her words.
I shall never understand why you choose the hardships of the Tangle over the luxuries of Tarkal.
Zervashi lifted her upper arms, turning her hands so her palms faced away from Catan. The gold and gems on her wrist and the backs of her hands flashed with blinding, reflected light.
My request remains, Catan. Become my chief hunter. Lead the Queen's Claw. Such would be a much more sensible use of your skills. Durak stepped forward with a low growl, mandibles wide, and hand rising as though he were about to tear his axe free.
My queen, you cannot choose this jungle worm to...
Zervashi flicked a hand towards Durak's, not even glancing in his direction. The Prime Claw's mouth snapped shut, and he released his weapon. He dropped his gaze and retreated a step. Catan released a slow breath. The air he drew in afterward was laden with jungle, smells from above. I put a space in there for no reason. But they were overpowered by Zervashi's heady scent, a particular feminine fragrance that struck him on an instinctual level well beneath his waking mind. Her scent had never overcome him before. It would not do so today.
With respect, my queen.
He took the leaf-wrapped bundle in his lower hands, lifting it towards her.
I seek only to give thanks to the Eight for allowing me to live during the reign of the greatest queen Tarkal has ever known.
Her mandibles clanked together, their fangs striking with enough force to have crushed Catan's skull. She rose higher, and her shadow cast by the beam of sunlight slanting from overhead, stretched long over the Dai's stone.
You're not half so clever as to yield your insults in mock praise and have it elude my notice, Catan,
she rumbled. Faint tremors crept through the stone floor as she strode toward him. She descended to the level just above Catan, looming over him like a storm cloud over an already flooded jungle.
Present your offering so that I may best decide your fate.
Her scent was even stronger now, and the pieces of silk hanging from her belt had fallen aside to reveal a long seam of her slit, now just above his eye level. Is that inappropriate? Should I censor that? I don't know if that's inappropriate or not. I don't think you're allowed to show slits on Twitch. Moving on. Clamping his jaw shut, he forced his mandibles down, shifted his rear pair of legs back, and bowed. He unraveled the bundle with his upper hands. Only when they are open. I see. So it's like if somebody... It's like if you saw somebody's butt cheeks, but it's not inappropriate until they spread their butt cheeks. Right? Or is it still inappropriate regardless of what position you see the butt cheeks in? That metaphor probably doesn't work very well. But that's what I'm comparing it to. Sorry,
I offer the same gift I made 7 years ago, my queen.
The leaves fell away to reveal the mender root, which were still oozing their purple juices.
Fresh enough for my queen's dyes, masters,
Catan said, keeping his gaze locked with Zervashi's. She narrowed her eyes, and her hide stretched as her muscles tensed. One of her legs slid forward, but Catan did not back away, even a finger's span. A low hiss sounded from the queen's throat. The fangs flanking her moved forward, leaving their spears at a gesture from Zervashi. They halted 2 segments before reaching the edge of the dice.
Forgive me, my queen, Catan said, but I had forgotten your favorite shade requires something more.
Catan brought his upper arms together and stabbed a claw into his left palm, and it sank deep. The pain was far off and yet oddly thrilling. It was not lost upon him that it might have been one of the last sensations of his life. Blood welled around his claw. He turned his hand and let the blood drip into the mender roots. The dark red droplets mixed with the purple juices, creating blotches of darker color. The queen's mandibles pressed together. The scrape of their fangs against one another was the only sound in the whole cavern.
Such things cannot go unpunished, Catan,
She said, her voice a low growl that vibrated across her fine hairs. The narrator didn't do that. She bent forward and reached out with the hand, snatching the roots away from him. His hearts quickened, and tension rippled through his body. Fear sizzled up from his gut, hot and unsettling, but it had never stopped him before. Zervashi squeezed the roots in her fist. Purple juice ran all over her hide and splattered on the floor between Catan's forelegs, joined by a few fresh drops of his blood. She leaned closer, still bracing her thick, powerful legs to either side of Catan. Her heat pulsed into him, and her scent wrapped around him like a cocoon, laced even more heavily with her desire. Catan's stem stirred behind his slit. Oh, is that what they're calling it now? His stem. He clenched his jaw against the sensation, refusing to give her such a reaction.
You provoked my ire, Catan.
Her lower arms encircled him, and her large claws grazed his back lightly enough that he nearly shuddered. He kept his mandibles low. If she meant to end him now, there'd be no stopping her. But he was quick enough at least to inflict some damage before he was through.
Clever as you think yourself, do you not realize what you are accomplishing?
She asked. Catan's claspers drew tighter against his pelvis. He has I guess his pelvis is like in his front. Right, anyway. Pinching his slit closed. Wait, where is his slit? Where is it? I'm assuming his pelvis and his slit are like, you know, they're on his front. Like if he was standing up, if there was like a centaur in front of you, like this is why I'm confused, because I'm comparing it to a centaur, right? And I think this book is making a reference that his genitalia are between his front forelegs. Like if he was standing straight up, they would just be, you know, where they are in a normal guy. Not like underneath him. I don't know. I'm thinking it's like in his abdomen, but it's not there. It's not there. It's it's on the front of him. That explains why you're able to see her slit now. I see. They're just showing slits. Fucking single slits in your area. Anyway. Oh my god, whoa, I missed something. Whoa, hold on. Some damage, right. Oh yeah, I'm involved in this stem. He held her gaze without wavering.
You do not.
She continued with a chitter. One of her hands rose suddenly, and she grasped his bound hair in a fist, yanking it to force his head back.
Your every act of defiance, Catan, serves as a proof that you are to be my mate. You alone are worthy of that honor.
Catan was aware of his eyes upon him. Dozens, hundreds. The eyes of every Vrix in Tarkal. Perhaps even the eyes of the Eight. But he could only see Zervashi's.
But you are not worthy, Zervashi,
he said. Her hold on his hair strengthened, producing sharp pain on his head. Does he have hair? What's his hair? Oh, he does. Oh, I didn't notice his hair before. Oh, he's got like anime hair. I didn't know that. Okay, so it is between his front two legs. I suppose that makes sense in the human aspect. Because I don't think that it's there on a real spider, but I haven't looked up that much about spiders, if you're wondering. I might have arachnophobia. Every time I look at Rule 34 of a spider, I freak out. It scares the shit. I'm joking, of course. About everything in that sentence. But anyway, had he come here to seek his death? Did he possess an eagerness tucked somewhere hidden, somewhere in the hidden recesses of his mind, where his darkest secrets were shrouded in webs even he could not penetrate to meet his end?
Shall I make my demand then?
She whispered, stroking the sides of her mandibles up and down his neck.
Shall I test you once and for all, sweet little Catan, and prove the choice has always been and forever will remain mine?
Need to watch Animal Planet or Google them. Maybe Botany. Or maybe I should keep my mind as innocent as possible. I actually don't know. I hate Spiders Man. What movie is that, Moby? Spiders Man? Is there a C? Is there Spider-Man? Is there Spiders Man 2? Very polarizing spider lovers and spider haters in chat. Well, if you can't beat them, you gotta join them. I haven't seen that much about spiders, though, to be honest with you. Charlotte's Web is about all I know. Man, this chapter has a lot more left to it. Holy fucking Christ. I didn't realize this chapter would go on for so long. Oh, next time I stream, I need to play a game. I need to play a game. I need to play like a Mega Man or fucking Fire Emblem. One of the two. One of the two. I think I want to try and beat Mega Man next. Because there's only like 2 more streams after that game. Seeing the pictures makes your skin crawl. Moby, in that sense, I'm assuming if you're reeling looking at the stream right now, there are 2 spiders on screen. Moby, there are 2 spiders. It's a big chapter. I know, I'm used to the fucking Katie Roberts books, where a chapter was like 2 or 3 pages, maybe sometimes 4, if she was feeling brave enough. But these are much bigger chapters. Only the real ones. I think spiders can be pretty cute though. Mostly the smaller ones, the tiny little jumping spiders, they're pretty cute. When you get to like the level of tarantula though, I don't think they're as cute anymore. Like I don't think a black widow is pretty cute. But the little like fuzzy little jumping spiders are adorable as heck. And mostly harmless. Mostly. Anyway.
Even you, my queen, cannot have everything you want,
he replied.
For all your powers and skill, Catan, you lack understanding.
Her mandible fangs scraped his neck, producing a dried rasp.
I am the only one who gets that desire, always.
Catan's forelegs curled, her claws raking the floor. He strained to expand his awareness, to place part of his focus on his surroundings and the many onlookers, or on the crystal, the stonework, on anything but Zervashi. Anything but Zervashi commanded his full attention.
May the 8 bless you, my queen,
he said thickly,
and ensure you have all you deserve.
His heart pumped wildly as Zervashi stared into his eyes. Her fangs paused just beneath his jaw, their deadly tips resting against the soft, vulnerable hide there. Finally... Whoop. Oh. That's so good. Don't like either of those. God damn, Mopey. God damn. Well, there's only... I was about to say... you should be careful about playing Animal Crossing, but I think there's only 1 spider in Animal Crossing, and I think that's just the tarantula. I don't think there's any other spiders in Animal Crossing. There's like fucking every other bug under the sun, but only one spider. Strange. Strange, that is. Ah, there must be another spider, right? Oh well. Remains a topic for another day. Finally, she shoved him away. Catan remained upright only by spreading all 6 of his legs to assume a wider stance. Enjoy the tangle, Catan, she said, turning away, displaying the back of her hands dismissively. Your time there will soon be at its end. And remember, the threads that bind you to the city, I will not hesitate to sever them one by one, should you give me cause. A strong, rough hand clamped around Catan's upper arm.
Move, you damned fool,
rumbled Urquhart. Catan tugged his arm free and stared at the queen until she had taken her place at the peak of the dice. When her attention flicked towards him, he crossed his forearms over each other and dipped his head. She responded by lifting her gaze to look past him.
You've done enough,
Rakosh whispered, but the narrator didn't realize that was a whisper, tapping Catan's right rear leg.
As much as I admire the way you made your statement, it's best not to linger. You linger. You gabinger.
Sorry. Oh, about the cartoon. Okay, I gotcha, Mopey, I gotcha. That's strange. I've never, like... Well, okay, when you say cartoony ones in games, like, does that also apply to games that actually have, like, kind of realistic spiders and that have, you know, the arachnophobia mode? Because I have noticed, some games come with an arachnophobia mode for people with arachnophobia. I don't know what it's like to have arachnophobia, but I'm assuming it's very similar to having a fear of cockroaches. I fucking hate the things, man. I fucking hate those things. They're the worst. I can't stand them, can't look at them, don't like them. I think the Earth would be better if they were just not around, you know, like wasps. I think the Earth doesn't need wasps and cockroaches. I think it's better off to just, you know, make them extinct. Anyway, Catan felt as he and his friends strode toward... Wait. Khan felt little as he and his friends strode toward Deep Delve Tunnel. His heart did not ease even when the soft sound of the conversation resumed, and his muscles were stiff and restless. But nothing else remained. Not pride or satisfaction, not fear or relief, not foreboding or hope. Zervashi tes kalamani ulokari. A female voice called, her voice booming, booming, hang on. Zervashi tes kalaani ulukari. Her voice booming through the chamber. I challenge you under the eightfold eyes of the gods. Your reign shall end this day, and Sathai tes Zork Ani Tokokari will become the new queen of Tarkal. Uncertain clicks and thrills swept through the crowd like the wind through the jungle burrows. Giving on spiders mainly because of how big they are and the fact that they're... Oh yeah, that's true, that's true. I mean, they do look pretty... They do the whole jump scare shit with the spiders and grounded, so I mean, maybe Mopey. Eight-Legged Freaks movie. I don't know what that movie is, but I may try to glance at it later, see what it's about. Also, there will most... Because I like the little fucking image on screen of my little character fucking... changing, obviously, the PNG tuber of my little fucking character. I like that. I like that so much so that I'm actually gonna get something proper for it. In the near future. Something more best suited towards it, because I do like it a lot. And that'll probably be my on-stream face going forward. It'll be cemented in history from now on. Anyway, Holt and Catan spun to face the dice. Rakosh and Erkant did the same. It's probably a C-tier movie. Fair enough, fair enough. But Birdemic. Is it anything like Snakes on a Plane? Is it anything like Snakes on a Plane? Because that's how I imagine that movie is gonna be. Birdemic also sounds like I'm not really a movie person. I should be a movie person. I should, you know, use the free time that I have to sit down and actually watch movies. But I don't know what I should do or how to start. Part of me has been really wanting to just kind of watch all the Jason movies in a row to see if there's any sort of like connection between them. I want to understand the Jason lore. I want to know more about that character. But Halloween's already over, so I can only watch Christmas movies now. Never seen Snakes on a Plane. All I know about Snakes on a Plane is the one quote of the guy going, "There are so many mother trucking snakes on this mother fire trucking plane." That's all I remember. No, I don't know what Birdemic is. Birdemic. Hang on. Let me look up Birdemic right now. See if I can like actually watch it on whatever device, streaming device that's on. Birdemic. Alright, it's definitely not on YouTube. Never mind. Apparently there actually is a YouTube video of the entire movie. Never mind. Okay. Interesting. Surprised that hasn't gotten shafted yet. I'll just watch the JonTron review. If there was like a retrospective on the Jason movies, I would love to watch that. I would love to watch that as a thing. Surely someone's done that. Because I didn't know that character was still relevant to this day. I don't know they're still making fucking Jason movies. I want to know the lore. But no, I'll check out Birdemic after the stream and see what it's about. Assuming I don't abruptly fall asleep. Sorry. Someone's gonna kill the queen. The two Fangs who'd been flanking Zervashi had moved forward to level their spears at the challenger, a female with a scarred hide and only a few scraps of adornment. Durak stood between the Fangs and the queen, axe in hand, as though he were not entirely outclassed by the females surrounding him. Zathai's mandibles were raised, and she had her arms to the sides, making her appear even larger. She was looking directly at Zervashi, past the black rock spearheads that were within a hand span of her face.
An eventful offering day,
Rakosh said.
Perhaps your display was inspiring, Catan.
Catan's mandibles twitched. He folded his arms across his chest. His fine hairs rose again. He could smell Zervashi, making him long, more than ever, with a thick jungle air.
I hope you're wrong, Rakosh. No more Verks need to die meaninglessly.
But it would have been fine had you done so,
asked Erkant, folding his upper arms to mimic Catan's stance. His lower arm reached across his torso so he could settle a hand over the scarred hide on his side.
We need not watch this,
Catan replied, trying to ignore the sting of Urquhart's words.
As Rakosh said, it is best we do not linger. You linger, you get binger.
This may be the challenge that changes everything.
Rakosh said with too much excitement.
We must bear witness.
The queen lifted a hand. Even from a distance, Catan could see the purple juice staining her hide, and a bit of his dark blood mixed with it. The archspeaker moved from her place, her long silk wrappings trailing over the floor. The shifting fabric seemed to change color in the rainbow light of the crystals. Sorry, hang on. There's a lot of reverb going on here. I don't know what the voice of this character should be, but it is not the queen. I'll just do my own fucking voice, I don't care. Your challenger is recognized by the eightfold eyes. Zathai Tes Zarak Ani Tok Okari. She called in a high, clear voice that nonetheless reverberated throughout the cavern. The eight bear witness. Our ancestors bear witness. Tarkal bear witness.
Oh, I thought this was the archspeaker talking. Apparently I was wrong. Allow me to, redo that.
Your challenge is recognized by the eightfold eyes Zathai Tes Zarakani Tokokari. The eight bear witness. Our ancestors bear witness. Tarkal bear witness. Queen Zervashi made a harsh hissing growl and snapped her mandibles together. The fangs at the edge of the dice withdrew, moving several segments away from the queen. Durax did the same, but only after a long hesitation that earned him a glare from the queen. Zervashi stomped on the stone and spread her arms. Come then, Zathai. Add your name to the ranks of my slain challengers. The other female leapt into the dice smoothly, her hind legs flexed, and her hide pulled taut. Catan recognized the scars that she bore. They had been left by spears, knives, and fanged clubs. By claw and fang. Jesus, I'm quite hungry.
Now let us be off,
Catan urged.
What if the eight finally take action, Catan?
Urquhart asked.
What if you compel them to do so? This may be justice. Sorry, that was a really good impersonation I did of you, Catan. Let me rephrase that.
What if you compelled them to do so? This may be justice.
The note of hope in Urquhart's low voice nearly broke Catan. He could not bring himself to say what he knew to be true. This challenge would be no different than any other. Zathai reared back, balancing herself on her hind legs to lift her front pair off the ground in a display of size and strength. Her mandibles parted wide, and she answered the queen's prior growl with one of her own. The challenger charged. Only as Zathai crashed into her did the queen move, shifting her huge body aside with deceptive speed as she grabbed hold of the challenger. Zervashi twisted, redirecting Zathai's momentum just enough to disrupt her balance. As she tumbled to the floor heavily, Zathai latched onto the queen, dragging Zervashi down with her. Two of Zathai's fists slammed into Zervashi's face in quick succession, the dull lumps of the impact echoing throughout the otherwise silent cavern. I don't have a thump sound effect for you with extra reverb that I could play right now, otherwise I would go like whoop-bam, whoop-bam, but I don't have that. So you just have to use your imagination as though I was reading a book made of words on a piece of paper. All eyes were upon that dais, and it seemed the same sense of longing and hopelessness Catan had heard in Urquhart's words thrummed in the very air. Takal's fate tangled by a single frayed thread. Do you have the reverb font? One of these is the reverb font. I don't know which one it is. Let's find out. Let's play the random font randomizer. Which one could it be? That wasn't the one I expected. But nonetheless, it got the message across. It's one of those. There's like 4 fonts it can choose from. That was one of the fonts. Close enough. Close enough to the bowl, you mean? Anyway. Where was I at? Ah, the frayed thread. But they all knew. They had to know. Since claiming rulership of Takal, Zervashi had faced at least 10 such challenges. And before ever she'd seized the title of queen, she'd been prime fang to the prior ruler. Zervashi herself had led her fangs into battle against Kaldarak. The queen pressed the tips of her 2 legs onto the floor and rolled atop her challenger, golden adornments clinking, wrapping her other legs around Zathai's middle. Zervashi hammered her fists into her challenger's face and torso, using her lower arms to divert Zathai's attempts at shielding herself. Zathai's defenses crumbled, and there was a wet crunch as the queen's next blow landed. Now, Zervashi had more than one hand blooded. Without ceremony, Zervashi grasped Zathai's head, wrenched it aside, and brought her mandibles down around the defeated female's throat. Catan balled his hands into useless fists. The sound of the queen's mandibles closing made the wet, moist, dank crunch from a moment before seem mild and unimportant. It was a sound Catan had heard far too many times in his life, but he'd never been able to shake how much it unsettled him. Zathai's body stiffened, her legs curled in towards her hindquarters. Her claws raked across the floor, and then she was still. Zervashi grasped the long hair on Zathai's head with one hand and the challenger's chin with another. She pulled the head up and twisted it to the side. The muscle, hide, and bone holding Zathai's head onto her body gave up their fight after 2 heartbeats. Dark blood pooled atop the dais and splattered across the stone as the queen rose. The archspeaker Valkai kept her gaze averted from the scene. Her silk coverings rippled as though she'd shuddered, and she'd lift the cloth with her lower hands so it did not touch the blood-spreading floor. So it did not touch the spreading blood.
The 8 have made known their will. The sacred rite is concluded. Long reign Zervashi, Queen Tarkal, and guardian of the ancestral crystals.
That was actually the arc speaker saying that, but I'm going to say it was the queen for the sake of my voice. Zervashi turned her face towards Catan, meeting his gaze and holding it for a moment. She then tossed the severed head aside and returned to her place on the uppermost part of the dais.
Proceed.
The speakers hurriedly resumed their collection of offerings as a pair of fangs marched forward to collect Zathai's remains. Durax stared at Catan from his place. At his place at Zervashi's side, mandibles twitching, he still held his axe in hand.
Shaper, shelter us,
Urquhart said, voice laden with sorrow and despair.
Weaver, shroud us.
Rikoshi said, his voice filled with disappointment and frustration.
And the 8 hold no power here.
Catan growled, turning toward a deep delve tunnel.
Not so long as she rules.
That's the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3 isn't that long. Chapter 4 is, though. Oh, maybe I'll do 2 chapters a day. Oop, hold on, shit. Where's my fucking... Here it is. I need to get my bookmark out, which is a a Razer fucking quick setup guide for the Razer keyboard I have. Sponsored by Razer TM. Not really though. I don't want to get sued. But yeah.